I can't hear you. I'm supposed to test all these things to show people how to do it. See, I'm testing everyone to make sure it runs right. Hello, and welcome to my Tiny Businesses channel, where each of my tiny business videos showcases a tiny business that I have created. I show you how to start and run your business. These are actual businesses that will make you money. They are not just ideas. Each business can be run by just one person, and that would be you. This tiny business is routers, which are used for woodworking. In this video, I do not teach you how to use routers or how to make wood projects. I show you how to make money with woodworking routers. I show you how to buy and resell routers. Routers are used to make wooden items look nicer. Routers cut edges, they make designs, they make joints, they cut grooves and slots, and they remove excess wood or material to make items look pretty and valuable. They are commonly used when making tables, doors, window frames, signs, and trim pieces. Routers are easy to find, easy to resell, and have a high profit margin ranging from 1,000 to 1,500%. Meaning that you can buy a really nice router for only $5 and resell it for as much as $50 to $75 and a lot more. Now, before you buy any routers, I want you to go to Home Depot, Lowe's, or any hardware or tool stores to see what routers look like when they are brand new. Check out their features. Play with their knobs and levers, wherever they are, like right here. See how they work. Look at the different types of routers. You have the stationary router like this one, that one, and that one. And you have the plunge router. Look at the different sizes. Write down the prices and brand names. The purpose of doing this is so that when you are looking to buy a used router, you will be familiar with its features, knobs, and adjustments, retail prices, and how they are supposed to work. Sometimes the used routers you look at may be missing a part, or they may have been abused. You should always plug them in and turn them on and off several times just to make sure they run. But before, make sure the cutter bit, which is inside the router, a lot of times it will be attached to this like a big nut on the on the bottom side of it. This is called a collet. It's like a big nut, and you put your router bit in there, and it tightens it and holds it in place. So, like I was saying, before you take a closer look at the router, before you plug it in, before you turn it on, make sure that the router bit, which will look kind of like this, or like this, which are inside the router and mounted to what's called a collet. It's like a big nut that grips onto the shank of the router bit and holds it in the router. So anyway, what you want to do is you want to make sure that this router bit, if there's a bit in the router, is recessed below the surface or the plate here. So you'd adjust your router like that, so that now the router bit is safely below the plate here, and you're not going to cut your fingers off or throw blood all over the room or whatever, okay? So that's what you do before you turn it on, before you plug it in. Make sure that router bit is either removed from the router, and or it is recessed below the plate here to keep it safe. And then when you turn it on, have it facing away from you before you pull the trigger, before you switch it on or off. Make sure it's facing away from you, and then pull the trigger and listen to the router to see how it sounds. Now generally, when you buy a used router, if they look clean and they look like they're new, it's usually safe to pay $5 to $10 for them. Okay, so now let's look at some used routers that you'll see for sale at garage sales, estate sales, rummage sales, flea markets, church sales, auctions, thrift stores, or second-hand stores. Those are the places where you will buy used routers, which are like these. Okay, so except for this one, which is a plunge router, okay, because you plunge it and you can adjust it with this lever to stay at the height that you want for when you use it or when you're doing your work. The others are manually adjusted up or down using like a knob like this, or sometimes they'll have like a big screw going around the body of it that you'll turn it up and down to adjust it and lock it in place. Kind of like this one, this mounted underneath here on this router table. This is a big adjusting screw to adjust your router up or down so that the blade or the cutter bit will come up out above the surface here. So anyway, like I was saying, so you have the plunge router here, and then these other four routers, these are referred to as stationary or fixed based routers, and these are typical of what you'll find and buy to resell. There's all kinds of routers with different features and different horsepower and amperage ratings, and that all determines how powerful your router is. There are two common bit shaft sizes. So the shank, which is this part on your router bit, these are both the same size shank, which are quarter inch. Sorry, I wasn't holding it up high enough. But anyway, so this is the shank, and this size is referred to as 1/4 inch. There's a bigger one that's about twice the size, and that's your 1/2 inch shank or router bit. And some routers can use both of those different sizes by using a different collet, which is, again, like I said before, it's that big nut in here that locks your router bit in place. So you can use the same router for the two different size shanks on router bits on those particular routers. Stationary routers are easier to use with router tables. They're easier to, because you mount them upside down underneath the router table, and then your router bit comes up above the surface. They're easier and more practical to use on router tables compared to trying to mount a plunge router. And let me just warn you again that before you plug in that router or switch it on, make sure that the router bit or cutter is removed or retracted below the surface of the base plate. Now, look at the overall condition of the routers, okay, that you are looking to buy. Okay, first look at them and ask yourself, do they look good? Is there anything obvious that's missing from them? And you only know that by going to the store and looking at new routers and seeing how they look when they're new. Has the router been beat up or abused? Is the outer shell, you know, the casing on these, is it really worn or scraped? If so, that could be a sign that it was abused by a contractor at job sites. So be careful. Ideally, you want to buy one from a hobby woodworker who hasn't used it that much, or sometimes they haven't used it at all. So, like I showed you in the beginning of this video, turn the router on and off again several times. Just do it over and over, at least several times. Make sure it runs when you turn it on. And yes, it's loud, but listen for screams or squeals, which can mean that the bearings are shot or they're going bad. A good router should have the same sound each time you turn it on and off. And the motor speed should not fluctuate after it reaches its top speed. Be careful that it doesn't have a frayed or cracked cord. So look at the cord, stretch it all out, turn it around, especially where it connects to the router itself, like right here. They have these reinforced boots on them, but even those crack, and the wires will be exposed in here. So you want to make sure that there are no cracks in your cords, and especially bare wires showing, because you'll get yourself shocked. Okay, which is a real unpleasant experience, and you could potentially kill yourself, I guess. Now, before you pay for the router, ask if the seller has any router bits or attachments or wrenches that they can give you for free or real cheap. You know, just ask them to throw them in. Router tables, like this one in the background here, and guides, which are like tool bits that attach to your router so that you can run your router in a straight line or against an edge. Ask the seller if they have anything like that they can just, you know, throw in for you. These can be an additional money maker to sell with your router. So don't just give them away. And router bits are expensive, especially the high quality ones. So if you can get the seller to, you know, just toss them in for free, that is really a nice bonus. There's also a router wrench that I'm sorry I don't have it on hand here, but they're not expensive, but they're nice to have, because when you want to release that router bit, what you do is you stick your wrench in here around the collet, and then there's another nut there. So you basically need two wrenches, one in each hand, to unloosen that router bit. Now, that's mostly on older routers who don't have the newer locking feature. It's a lock here, like this one right here, where you can just press this against the router shaft, and it'll lock into a slot, and then you just need one hand and one wrench to undo that nut. Because if it doesn't have that feature, you need two wrenches and two hands to loosen that thing up. But again, that's with older ones. So after you've found your used router and you've bought it, and now it's time to bring it home. And again, before you do anything, unplug it when you're handling it or cleaning it, and keep the sharp bit retract it or remove it. And then wipe or brush or blow off any dust or dirt. I use that little air compressor to blow the dirt and dust off my routers, and it works so well when blowing the sawdust off. And I even use the air compressor to blow into these slots that go and feed air into your router motor from below and on top. Okay, so I'll take my air compressor nozzle and I'll just blow in here and I'll blow all the sawdust all off the router till it almost looks like it hasn't even been used. And people who are buying routers from you, they like and appreciate a clean router that doesn't look like it's been abused or overused. And then just take a damp cloth and wipe your router clean, and then your router is ready to sell. Okay, so time to sell your routers. You can sell your routers on Craigslist, at garage sales, at flea markets, on bulletin boards, via buy and sell papers like the Dollar Saver, Thrifty Nickel, or any of those. And you can also sell your routers on Facebook Marketplace, in free advertising publications. And so, as I was saying, you can also sell your routers in free advertising publications and newspapers. You can also sell them on eBay, Etsy, or other online venues, and even your local neighborhood website. You can also sell them through consignment at some tool stores. I usually resell my routers for $45 to $145 each if they are in really nice condition. And 50 to 75% of the new retail price is common. You can experiment with increasing the sales price. And plunge routers tend to be more expensive, and routers with bigger motors and more features, like variable speed or constant load speed, are always more expensive. Now, when you're posting your sales ads for your routers online, take clean, clear photos of the front, where it shows your adjustment, on the bottom, where they can see the plate and the condition, on the back side, so you can see your adjustment knob for tightening your adjustment, and also the plate or tag that's on your router that gives the router's specifications, like the amperage or the horsepower, and the RPMs, like this one says 25,000 RPM, which is real common on routers. Here's those wrenches I was talking about earlier that I couldn't find a while ago. And those, again, are to hold your the shaft on your router while you loosen the nut that holds the router bit in the collet. And again, here's another close-up of the router bit. This is a 1/4-inch shaft. And remember one very important thing, and that is that great photos sell routers. They are your salesmen for you. In the text of your ad, state the brand, the style, whether it's stationary or fixed base, or whether it's the plunge router. State the horsepower or amperage, any features, the bit size or collet size, and condition, price, and your contact information. You can make a lot of easy money with this tiny business. I've helped others do the same. So help me help you. Help me to continue to make a lot more tiny business videos that will make you money. I've also written a book that will help you. Tiny, part-time, high-profit businesses that can make you rich by Nick Kosich, which would be me. It's available directly from Amazon.com. Just type in my name, Nick Kosich, and it'll take you right to my book where you can order it. And be sure to subscribe to my channel so that I can let you know what tiny business is coming next and when, plus give you sales tips to help your business run smoothly. So, until next time, when I bring you another tiny business, I look forward to seeing you again.